The movie opens up showing us a guy named Paul Campbell, who is married to housewife Grace Campbell and has 2 teenagers, Carrie Campbell and Landon Campbell, is determined not to experience the same financial difficulties that he did growing up. Paul is a top-selling real estate agent at his firm, but he achieves this by using Band-Aid or cosmetic fixes for more serious issues that he hides from potential clients and by devoting all of his time to his job at the expense of spending quality time with his family or engaging in other activities that do not increase his ability to make money. However, Grace and the kids just want them to save for a long-discussed family vacation, so Paul and Grace are barely scraping by while watching every dollar. They expect to inherit most, if not the entirety, of Grace's wealthy Uncle John's estate when he passes away. Paul has always admired Uncle John for being self-made and successful, so he thinks they are in a good position. They discover that Uncle John has left them nothing but a potted plant and a message that is vaguely related to it. He has donated all of his money to a children's charity that was founded by Grace's family, as well as his house, which Paul is to sell while donating his commission to the same cause. While Grace accepts the inheritance with the love that Uncle John intended, Paul is left feeling completely deflated. He considers destroying the plant out of rage until he eventually discovers the secret to Uncle John's wealth, which is connected to that plant but which he keeps from Grace or anyone else. Welcome to Review Recapped. Appreciate our efforts by subscribing and turning on the notifications, please. It means us a lot. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy. He becomes alarmed after learning that his wife has also found out that the plant pays him. Though I gave it water, nothing extraordinary happened, according to his wife. Paul's tension decreases upon learning that the plant has not yet begun to grow. Thank goodness his wife didn't find out about it and water the plant. Daily payments were being made by the plant, and Paul was getting rich. The following day, a man arrives and requests money for the church. He has become a giving person after receiving money from Paul. His family is shocked to see this, too. Additionally, Paul alters his appearance and begins dressing nicely. We are grateful for this plant because it produces money. Paul doesn't want to tell his family this information, and for the first time gives his children a large amount of pocket money. When they witness this, his children are shocked and ask their father to continue behaving in this manner. Paul was continually wasting money, so he bought a lawnmower to mow his lawn. He now purchases a car as well, which angers his wife because it cost a lot of money. Where did you get the cash? And why does he waste money on such frivolous things? She had suspicions about him and feared for her husband, that if her husband is engaging in unlawful activity. After a disagreement with his wife, he returns to the shed where he had that plant stored. He harvests the money from the plant once more and receives $100,000. When Paul arrives at the office, his friend informs him that your car isn't according to you. Paul, in a fit of rage, goes to a dealer to purchase a brand new sports car and pays in cash. He makes the seller suspicious, and a detective was watching him. To impress his friend Jack, Paul displays the expensive car he recently purchased, and informs him that I obtained this thanks to Uncle John's funds when he brings it home. His wife is not happy and asks him how he manages to make such large sums of money. The next day, Paul, who had been depressed by his wife's actions, returns to ask for church funding. This time, he doesn't give him any money, and the man who came to donate is a friend of Uncle John. He has realized that he hasn't yet sold Uncle John's home. Paul didn't contribute money for church offerings. When Paul isn't home, the detective visits and looks into his wife, about where Paul invests, and what is his income. His wife argues in favor of him, saying he is a successful realtor who makes money by selling homes. The detective later departs to speak with Paul in person. The detective finds that Paul hasn't received any pay for a month. How did he buy this pricey sports car when his job isn't functioning properly? She has now begun distantly observing Paul's activities. Paul becomes worried because his plant wasn't giving him money and his wife asks the same question every day. That from where the money is coming? Paul becomes depressed after it and goes to the office of John's friend. He gives him a lot of money for the church. Uncle John's friend tells Paul to help people, and advised him to become open-handed, and Paul likes this. He leaves after giving a lot of money for church funding. The detective who was chasing him reached the office and there was a lot of money given by Paul. Paul becomes frustrated because the plant wasn't giving him money. He reads Bible and many other books from which he will discover how this plant will give money. Paul has to play a game with his son the next day. Paul leaves soon due to it, and his son was upset. He goes to the coffee shop and gives money to that unemployed man, and the man gets surprised that the man is giving him money for the first time without any reason. The detective who was watching Paul while giving money to that man captures him. The man to who Paul gave the money was considered a drug dealer and held Uncle John's friend. She thinks they do something illegal together. Later, Paul meets Jack and his wife calls him repeatedly. He ignores her calls and his wife, who was worried, reaches the factory with her daughter. Paul's daughter falls from that hole accidentally. That was covered by Paul along with Jack, and his daughter's arm fractures because of falling. His daughter was taken to the hospital immediately and Jack became furious at him, and says, "This happened because of you, I shouldn't listen to you." He says, "This is your mistake, Paul, you didn't fix the ceiling and included me with you." When Jack leaves, his wife calls Paul's wife, and she tells her, "I have seen Jack furious for the first time." Paul has realized his mistake and apologizes to his wife. Paul's daughter discharges from the hospital and Jack also becomes happy hearing this. They return home, but Paul's son was still angry with him and he apologized to him. His son forgives him and now they want to start their happy life. But then the next day, the detective arrests Paul with the officer. She was still feeling that Paul is involved in illegal activity. Paul meets the man whom he gave money and Uncle John's friend as well in prison. The detective has arrested all of them, because she was feeling they are together. Paul discovers that Uncle John's friend also knew about that plant, and they were the men who have given Uncle John this plant. Uncle John's friend tells him that his uncle was like him before, and used to stay unhappy even though he got money from his plant, but even then he stays unhappy. Later, he decided to help the people with his money. He started donating to charity and likewise, his life becomes better. Paul discovers the kids' camp that was run by Uncle John was run by his wife's parents. They were released as Jack said they have got the money after selling the factory. He tells me I have given the commission to Paul for selling the factory. Likewise, Paul was released. Paul decides to be involved in the kids' camp activity. He donates his brand new sports car to the kids' camp and everyone becomes happy. Especially Jack and the friend of Uncle John as they were proud of Paul. Paul is shown going on vacation with his family in the movie's last scene. His plant was taken back by Uncle John's friend. Now he will keep that plant. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.